included in your package is the agenda for the June 10th, 2013 meeting. Have a motion to approve the agenda. Have a motion second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. First on the agenda is the minutes from the May 13th, May 30th, and June 4th meetings. I'll give you an opportunity to review those. And when you're ready, Chair to entertain a motion.
On your May 30th minutes, middle ways down, motion to go in enter executive session 741 by Mitchell Chasen, second by Irving Leader. I just need a reference. Put in there that I recuse myself from that executive session, if y'all don't mind.
You got it up here in the paragraph, 2 paragraphs left.
Right. I just want to make sure it was in that executive session also that I was not.
I don't have a problem with that. So your request is that we just have a sentence to Judge Abel's not included in the executive
Right.
session meetings with
I'll recuse myself from that.
Secretary to make a note of that. With that change, any other changes? All right, without amendment, Chair to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Locklear, is there a
Second.
second? Second, Mr. Sermon, any further discussion? Not call for the question, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay. Mr. Humphrey.
Okay, under superintendent's information, we have a 2012 grad rate, and it's the 4-year cohort, which is the way the state has decided to put it out. Mr. Culpepper, would you speak to that? We've got a copy in here. We have a significant increase from last year in our graduation rate.
Yes, and we're somewhere around middle of the pack. I haven't looked at it in several weeks, but we're somewhere around middle of the pack on the 2012 cohort graduation rate. And that's last year's graduation rate. There's always going to be a lag on the 4-year cohort rate because they put it out a year after you go through that process. So we're in the process of working on the 2012 or 2013 cohort to verify data as we speak in the guidance office. But we're about middle of the pack. We're pleased with the gains we see, and we hope to continue that. Teachers and guidance offices work very hard to bring that about. We're proud of it.
As you can see from the chart, the state percentage rate is 69.72, Lanier County is 76.23. Our neighbors, Lowndes, is 73.12. And you can see where everybody else falls within there. The anomaly is Turner County at 92.41.
What are they doing?
I asked the superintendent that the other day, and it has something to do with them having a separate code for their alternative school. And when they get someone ready to transfer out of the alt school, they're ready to graduate, they transfer them in right before graduation, and they graduate. So it's a little bit of manipulating of the numbers. It's not illegal. It's just that most people don't do it, and I'm sure the state doesn't want done that way, but, we'll keep working on ours, as I'm sure everybody else in here is. But I was really pleased, that was a big increase from the year before, and, large, increase over the state. So, just keep up the good work at the high school. I commend all those at the high school working on that.
What was last year's rate?
64.21.
Somewhere around
That's what I'm
64 is where
remembering.
we were last year.
64.21. So that's 12% gain, which is significant, statistically significant gain. Next, we have COPS grant. COPS stands for Community Oriented Police Service. Chief Giddens worked on this with Mr. Bennett, and it's a long shot, a long shot. I looked and saw, even though there's a lot of money involved, it's given out nationwide. It's federal grant, and there were only 4 grants that went to Georgia, and all of them last year, and all of them were in the Atlanta area, held large city areas. So we thought we would at least apply. If you were to get the grant, you would get $125,000 over 3 years to help with hiring a security officer.
Is there any matching money or anything we're having to do
If we get it, they'll pay for the first 3 years, and then after that, we need to take over. We thought we could apply and see if we get it, and then decide we want to keep it after that. But it's a long shot. I know our sheriff's department was applying for it, but I think they gave up on theirs, didn't they? And we're not able, or didn't qualify.
They were not doing the SRO, they were doing regular deputies.
Okay.
Yeah, they were limited to only one position, so they, instead of making it an SRO, they made a regular deputy position, but they still applied. And, we were limited to one position also, and this grant, time is targeting SROs, so that's the goal of the COPS grant this time, and there will be a local match, but it'll be, they'll pay 75%. So by the time, it'll be the majority of the expense will be on the federal grant side.
Okay.
We're not looking for the check in the mail just yet, no.
Yeah.
Do we need to take any action on it, or just?
No, just wanted you to know we had applied.
Okay. All right, if you want to go into the next one.
Action items.
Yeah.
We've got we need to approve the draft budget. I think everybody already has the complete budget draft and has had time to look at it. And so this is what, if you approve this, we'll be running it in the newspaper on the 20th, and then we'll need a call meeting on the 27th to vote it in as our budget on the 27th, and that time will need to be determined tonight.
And we've got this transferred to other funds at $300,000. Charlie, that's payment on.
That's the payment on the notes.
Okay. I think everyone's had the time to review the budget. Any questions? If not, Chair, call for approval of the draft of the 2013-2014 budget. Motion, Mr. Lanier, is there a second? Second, Mr. Sermons. Any further discussion? Not, we'll call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Would you like to go ahead and set the time on the 27th, Thursday the 27th?
Yeah, I think we've got a couple of dates. We we've got to run that in the paper, I think, on the 20th.
Right.
And then we'll need to have a call meeting on the 27th to adopt that budget. If you'll check on that date for the 20th. I mean, the 27th. 27th.
That's a Thursday.
Just do it late.
Do you have a preference?
I mean, any time that works for everybody, but
What time you get through fishing, Randy? Doesn't matter. Whatever. 6 or 7? 6 or 7?
let's go 6.
6?
Maybe that in paper. The next item is the implementation of the state teacher and leader assessment programs. It's called TEAKS for short, Teacher Keys Effectiveness System, but also LEAKS, Leader Keys Effectiveness System, and to study what's called SLOWs, Student Learning Objectives, for this next year. These are for classes that don't have or are tested by CRCT or by an end-of-course test. We'll have to spend a year studying and coming up with our own measurement. There are some that are already out there. Our administrators, we have 8 already signed up to take training in July, right before school starts, because this will be the new evaluation system for teachers and leaders that have someone that's directly under them with test scores. This has been adopted by the governor. Legislation was passed, governor signed it, and it really came about as part of the race to the top, and federal money has put this into motion. And so the current status of it is that I think all but 30 systems in the state have signed on now to go ahead and implement this year. The reason is that federal money runs out this year, and so these federal trainers that we get to use for free will no longer be available for free. That money's going to be gone, and yet the following year we have to implement it anyway. So we're going to take advantage of the free training. It's a very intensive training. We've had a couple of meetings already. Last day of school, we introduced to our teachers and gave them a rubric to kind of show them what was coming. So I'd like you to go ahead and approve that. So this will be our effective measure for next year.
How can, in August, they're talking about already monitoring PDPs when you don't even have a system in place? Is that
Well,
just so that they can do that all year long?
Yes, and there will still be teachers that are not a teacher of record that will be under the old system until we get the SLOs developed. Let's say you had a teacher that, as at the end of this year, they're on PDP. We're still going to have to use that. There will be some teachers that the TEAK does not apply to. You know, you've got band teachers, you've got a lot of CTAE teachers. You know, they don't test on a CRCT or an EOCT, so they're still going to be under pretty much kind of like the old method, but we're developing the new method this year. We won't have it, we'll be developing, that's called the SLO. But they'll still be under the old one. But our teachers that teach students that take these tests, this will be the new way that we'll be evaluating them, and principals and assistant principals.
So if I'm teaching a social studies class that has an end-of-course test, will I have to be a guinea pig for 3 years to take this, or can the next year, that guy who was not teaching that end-of-course test, can we swap out, or how's that gonna work?
If you're teaching it this coming year, and it has an end-of-course test on it, you're going to be evaluated using this model, this new model.
Well, that guy next to me who's not having an in-course test, will he be
God
using
bless
this?
him, he gets a break. He does. That's just the way that it's set up right now. Until there are SLOs developed for courses that do not have an end-of-course test, and that would be, high school or the CRCT, but even at that, at the middle school level, other levels, you've got art, music, PE, things like that that don't have a CRCT score will be developed in SLOs for that.
This isn't, geared towards their pay?
No,
Okay.
it's not geared toward pay unless a teacher actually goes into what we would call needs improvement. There's new terminology with this, but if they do that 2 years in a row, they can lose their certification. But again,
Losing certification would certainly affect you.
it will affect your pay. But if you come up with some, where you need some improvement after the first year, it'll be the PDP or the help to get you up. And I don't know what they're gonna do when they fight that battle when he gets here, when that person somewhere does fail it 2 years in a row. And it used to be with the AYP, you failed 2 years in a row, that you would lose the step increase if there were one. But now, this thing has so much teeth in it that they will actually pull your certification. Now, that's as it stands read right now, and that's what they keep telling us. That's the state rule right now, but they will put out some guidelines for that rule, and I expect that if and when that happens, it'll be challenged legally, and we'll see what happens then.
But if I understand, we may opt out of it this year, but next year we'd have to do it. Right? So, I mean,
We could, but we would have to pay for all of our training, and next year it's law, you have to do it anyway. And that's why all but 30, and I don't know why those 30 haven't, are doing this year. Some have already been doing it for 2 years because they were raised to the top schools, and this is what they've been going through already, and they've been working on and changing it, but we
well,
were.
those changes you're talking about would be legislative changes, not to change
Changes
this.
as they work through this instrument with those schools and find things that work better, things that just, the one that we're working on now, I believe I'm correct in saying it's the 18th version from where they initially started. And that's why we didn't want to pilot it in the beginning. I wanted everybody else to pilot it and then work out the bugs, and so what our trainer has been telling us lately is that this is pretty much it. There's going to be a few tweaks here and there, but this is it, because next year by law everyone's involved in it. So it's better to be trained. It's better to get your teachers ready. This year it'll be a lot easier than just trying to go cold turkey and have no help.
Well, what are you gonna use for your band teacher, PE, special ed, those type of?
We'll use the old instrument that we currently have.
The one that you already use?
And then what we'll be doing through the course of the year is developing that new instrument called the SLO, Student Learning Objectives, for those classes that don't have one. And that's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time. Our administrators know they're going to be very busy. But I think this is going to be a much better product, give teachers a lot more feedback, and I think it'll improve instruction.
Ms. Humphrey, do you have a question?
Well, pre and post assessments are going to be required in the future for students that teach content areas and those that do not. And that's what we'll be working on as well this coming year, is a pre-post for every course that's offered.
Okay. That do look like it.
So this is going to be it when we're this year or next year. Okay. Any more questions? If not, we have a recommendation, Mr. Humphrey, to go ahead and adopt it. And I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Chason, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Strickland. Any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Got a couple of surplus items. There's a shipping container located behind the high school, kind of behind the cannon plant, right up against the bleachers. It used to be used for some storage. I just think it's,
It was for band, the band used it years ago when Mr. Martin was here, but it's no longer used because of the.
looks like to surplus it and have someone just come move it out of the way. If they, we'll put it in the paper and they can bid what they would like on it, but I think it will be, you know, someone's gonna have to have a desire to move it. But they can,
At their expense.
at their expense, yes, sir.
Probably take a Robinson roll-off truck and move it, I'm sure, one of those roll-off container trucks.
I'm not sure if it'll take it, I don't know how they got it there to start with, but it takes a big machine to pick it up and put it on that trailer.
All right. Can we do both of these in one motion?
Have you got a bottom line that you want on this, or on either one of them?
Just one gone?
No, we'll advertise and just let it run for a week and then say, you know, the high bid gets it, so we'll word it such that they need to remove it from the premises within X amount of days.
Where does the money go? Does it go back to the general fund, if you go to
General fund.
the band, or who bought the storage unit to begin with?
I have no
I
idea.
think it was donated, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it still watertight?
There's some wind damage on those shingles. It was leaking before they put a roof on it to try to keep it from leaking.
There's another state agency in the county that needs one.
It could be weatherproof for a little bit of work, but it is not currently waterproof because there's been some shingles blown off of it.
We'll let y'all work out those details.
Is it firework?
What's the second item?
Fire.
It's a three-phase electric fryer. I believe Ms. Quay told me that it does work, but it was replaced, it's old, and they've gone to gas, I believe. And Mr. Culpepper, I think he's a little more familiar, talked to Quay. Most do not use three-phase anymore for these fryers, do they? Isn't that
Yeah,
part of the problem?
they've taken all, they took it out when they took all the fryers out. It's been sitting back there for several years.
Yeah, when they quit letting us fry stuff to eat for lunch.
They took out french fries, they messed us up. Took the deep fryer out, and it's just been sitting back in the back of the cafeteria for several years now.
And she would like to have it removed.
All right. Chair to entertain a motion to surplus these two items.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Strickland, second, Mr. Sermons. Any further discussion? If not, call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Did we ever sell all the trailers? All the trailers that got bought, we had some that still waiting to be moved, or we still waiting for somebody to get them?
I think we just had the one, didn't we?
We
Or
sold-
told two.
We sold 3, and I believe we've had 2 of them moved.
Yeah,
we had 2 of them
Jerry
moved.
has talked to the owner of the last
Of
one,
that
and
third one?
that move is like
Imminent.
imminent. They were telling us that
They
they
just
were,
moved one a couple
Yeah,
of
they-
days ago.
they were,
Yeah.
And then there's a third one to be moved still.
Follow up, like we're gonna do a timeline to move this, maybe something to make them get motivated to get it going, whatever.
Yeah, and we did have a timeline, and it was to a church, and they were taking Lowndes County, and they ran into all kinds of red tape trying to get it approved to go where they wanted it to go and be used as they want it to be used. So we basically just, they've asked us to work with them until they got the permits. He's kind of kept us updated. he just couldn't get the permits, we finally did.
Okay. I'm sorry, we didn't vote on that, did we? We did? All right.
On
I'm sorry.
surplus.
Okay, yeah, we did. All right. Next, we have the grievance hearing report. I'll ask Ms. Suzanne if she'll read that report, and then we will discuss and have a vote.
The administrator who heard the complaint was the Lanier County Board of Education. The certified employee who initiated the complaint was Lisa Strickland, the Associate Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services. Number one, what are the issues involved in this complaint? Mrs. Strickland claims the proposed assignment of instructional lead teacher under an employment contract offered to her for the 2013-2014 school year following her request to transfer from her current position is retaliatory. Number two, has a violation or misapplication of statute, policy, rule, or regulation occurred? If so, which statute, rule, policy, or regulation? There is no specific violation, misinterpretation, or misapplication of a statute, policy, rule, or regulation alleged that is subject to the procedures under policy GAE number 2. Decision reached. Mrs. Strickland's complaint is dismissed because it was not filed timely and because it does not allege a violation, misinterpretation, or misapplication of the statute, policy, rule, or regulation that is subject to the procedures under policy GAE 2. Although this matter is dismissed and not subject to these procedures, the Board of Education reluctantly wishes to address the contract offer being made to Mrs. Strickland for an instructional lead teacher position. That contract offer should remain open to Mrs. Strickland until June the 20th, 2013. Given the adversarial nature of the proceedings that were initiated by Mrs. Strickland, if Mrs. Strickland does accept the contract offer for instructional lead teacher, then neither Superintendent Keith Humphrey nor Associate Superintendent Kathy Humphrey should serve as Mrs. Strickland's primary evaluator. This statement should not be read to infer any judgment or determination by the board for or against any party involved in this complaint, and the board presumes that the superintendent would otherwise have ensured a different party would serve as Mrs. Strickland's primary evaluator in order to avoid any potential appearance of conflict and to promote the efficient administration of the district. 4. Basis for decision. Under the board policy GAE 2, a complaint must be presented in writing within 10 days after the most recent incident on which the complaint is based. Mrs. Strickland's complaint was filed on May 7, 2013. The action that forms the basis of her complaint was for approval to be employed in the assignment of instructional lead teacher for the 2013-2014 school year, which occurred at the Board of Education meeting on February 28, 2013. Mrs. Strickland was aware of this assignment at that time, as evidenced by her statements in the newspaper at that time and her testimony before the board. No incidents to form the basis of Mrs. Strickland's complaint occurred following that meeting, and the board finds no basis to extend the deadline for initiating the complaint, particularly in light of her actual knowledge of the assignment being offered to her in response to her request for a transfer from the central office. Therefore, her complaint was not presented within 10 calendar days after the most recent incident upon which it is based, and is therefore not subject to policy GAE 2. In addition, the stated scope of the complaint's procedures in policy GAE 2 is limited to complaints by a certified employee who is affected in his or her employment relationship by an alleged violation, misinterpretation, or misapplication of the statutes, policies, rules, regulations, or written agreements of this school system, or with which the system is required to comply. Mrs. Strickland's statement basis for her complaint is with regard to the Professional Standards Commission's Code of Ethics, Standard 10. However, the Code of Ethics is applied to individual educators certified by the PSC and not school systems as entities. Therefore, it is not a statute, policy, rule, or regulation with which the system is required to comply. Therefore, the complaint is not subject to the policy GAE 2.
Okay, thank you. All right. Having read and heard the complaint, Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Second, Mr. Summers, any further discussion? If not, we'll call for the question. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Strickland recused himself. Okay. All right. Next, we have, personnel contract services, some resignations. Mr. Hunter, can you address those?
Yes, we have the resignations from Ms. Gorch, Taylor Parrish, Julian Begay, and Ms. Nichols. We have a request for transfer that I'm recommending from Ms. Swan, the media specialist at the primary and elementary school, to go to be media specialist at the middle and high school. If you'll take all of them, recommendations.
Let's do the resignations and transfer together, if that's okay. Is that okay with board members?
Yeah.
All right. Chair to entertain a motion for the resignations and for the transfer as listed.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Sermons.
Second.
Second, Mr. Locklear. Any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, recommendations.
On the recommendations, Kathy Gaines was left off the list inadvertently, so she's not a new hire. We're just going to go ahead and get her officially approved. These others are all new hires, and as you see from the document, that memorandum, that these are all pending certification, background check, and other paperwork. And you see the names: Paige Gordon, a high school math teacher; Krista Spires, math teacher at the high school; Kelly Ragle will be the media specialist at the primary and elementary school; Kimberly Paratori, elementary school teacher; and Jessica Gaskin Mills, a high school special education teacher. We do have a maternity leave down there too for Deanna Corson.
Okay.
Very nice. So, take it off.
Yes, if that's a pleasure.
I'm going to excuse myself from Paige Gordon, relative.
Okay, let's, well, I think we'll be all right on the vote. I'll let you know, so. Why don't we, is there a motion to approve the recommendations?
So moved.
Have a
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Mr. Chason recused himself. Okay. I don't know, did we include the maternity leave in that?
I thought so.
Okay, we did, okay. All right,
Financials.
down to financials. Mr. Bennett.
End of May, 92% of the year was complete, and we got a substantial check this month from our local tax assessor, which brought our local revenue very close to being in line with what we budgeted. And then subsequent to that, I believe it was Friday, we got another substantial check, so I deposited that, and that will put our revenue is going to come in right at what we had budgeted, which is always a good thing. It may even be a little bit more, we'll know next month. And then our expenditures are still coming in favorable. So this is going, barring anything unforeseen, which, we'll never know, but June we should finish up the year in good shape financially.
It's always a good thing to get those checks like on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, that $211,000 check.
Charlie, your 50,000 capital outlay, you've only spent about 5,600.
Yeah, that's the architectural fees for the renovations. Of course, you had the meeting the other day to approve that bid, so that.
We can use some of that money for that additional that it may end up costing us.
Yes. That and some extra money we had in the function 2600 maintenance line item. That-
Basically, we're able to take care of that addition within
within
this
the
year's budget.
General fund budget this year, yes. Yeah, we as we got closer to the year end, we saw where we would be able to do that and fund it from this year's budget, so that was more of the recommendation to go ahead and get that drawn up and approved this year, because we're, you know, we do have that latitude.
All right. Any more questions for Mr. Bennett?
How did the general administration go over things?
Some of that, when I look at the financials in June, if you'll notice, the function 2300, which is general admin, is, I say, over budget about the amount that this other function, which that's media, that may, I think what it is some of the school administration, you're 242 to the good, so some of that may need to be reclassed. Some of those functions are judgment calls, and at the end of the year, you know, it may need to be reclassed into a more appropriate account number. I was telling Mr. Humphrey today, the most important thing is that bottom number down there. As long as that ain't in the negative, we in good shape. But as the year goes by, we sometimes have to adjust these between the functions to put it in a more appropriate account number.
Does extended day come out of general administration?
Extended day, some of it comes out of general, no, nothing comes out of general administration on that. That'll either be function 2210, but a lot of that is not in the general fund. It's paid federally or,
Extended days paid federally?
some, for some people. But that particular, account number wouldn't be general administration, would be, improvement of instruction.
So extended day comes out of improvement of instruction most of the time?
Yeah. Depending on personnel, it may come out of pupil services.
Any more questions? All right, thank you, Charlie. Takes care of the financial report. I believe we need to force executive session on, are there any on, signed up for public comment? That's all we have. Chair, you entertain a motion to adjourn. Have a motion, second. All in favor, aye.
Oh,